Live from the Grenadian capital, this is the GBN television news. GBN, covering you from the Grenadine island chain to Brooklyn, New York, via the World Wide Web on www.gbn.gd.
The news headlines is brought to you compliments GUT Credit Union.
Imagine having the home of your dreams. Imagine investing in that piece of property you can call your own. Imagine finally doing that home improvement project you've always been thinking about. It's time to stop imagining and start doing. Let the GUT Credit Union help you take the first step with fantastic rates, affordable repayments, and reduced legal fees. Make the move. Get better terms on your mortgage. Use your home equity to make those dreams a reality. Act now. There's really no place like home. GUT Credit Union. It's where you belong.
Good evening and welcome to the GBN television news for Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. It's a day of lucky numbers, the 22nd of the second month, 2022. Let's take a look at what's coming up in the news tonight. St. George's businessman sentenced to prison 4 days after wounding a police officer. August 8th and 9th, Spice Mass 2022 will blend virtual and in-person attendance. Grenada to host historic signing of Declaration on Roaming for regional telecommunications. China scholarship awardees awaiting confirmation date to travel. Coming up in regional news, St. Lucia's Prime Minister calls on police to step up their efforts against violent crime. Internationally, members of the United Nations Security Council condemn Russia's move to escalate its crisis with Ukraine. And coming up a little later in sports, Grenada Athletic Association president advocating for a local training ground against exporting athletes. The details of these and other stories are straight ahead. Stay with us.
The first segment of the news comes to you compliments Soft Weave Bathroom Tissue.
Have you heard about the new Soft Weave bathroom tissue with total hygiene? As hygiene and safety have taken center stage, our bathroom tissue is now manufactured with 3 different technologies to offer the best protection for you and your family. UVC light technology for a safe and effective disinfection process, eliminating 99.9% of microorganisms. Also, production at high temperatures, killing all types of germs and bacteria. And it's pH controlled with delicate fibers to prevent irritation for even sensitive skin. Soft Weave Total Hygiene Bathroom Tissue. Available in supermarkets and shops island-wide. Visit Soft Weave Caribbean Facebook or Instagram pages for more information.
Thanks for joining us. I am Blossom Alexis-Welsh with the details. Top story tonight. A blended approach to Spice Mass 2022 will be used for Grenada's marquee cultural event, bringing an end to a 2-year hiatus because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Minister of Culture Yolan Bain-Hosford said Carnival will be held under strict protocols as the Spice Mass Corporation submitted a proposal which Cabinet readily approved.
It wasn't very difficult because we had the reports from the Ministry of Health. We have had other reports from the police. So it's not just the team SMC preparing the proposal, but a lot of groundwork and a lot of research has been done and a lot of collaborative efforts with all the mass payers, etc., and all the stakeholders. Bringing that to Cabinet, we were very impressed because it was pretty much holistic. It created quite a balance in terms of the information that was shared to Cabinet. So it wasn't very difficult for Cabinet to make that decision based on the information that was shared.
In other news, no limit on gatherings for fully vaccinated people is one of the easements being realized while government gives consideration for unvaccinated individuals. Minister of Health Nicholas Steele says the lifting of social distancing requirements at churches can now be considered. However, mask wearing will continue until a review is done in the coming weeks.
We do hope, if the current trend continues, that we can be looking at most, if not all, about restrictions, travel included, being changed by April. March, April. And I think most countries are contemplating that too. So which is good news for us all.
Addressing a late afternoon post-cabinet briefing today, Minister Steele spoke on a number of issues that were raised by members of the media. He noted that an event over the weekend did not produce a spike. However, permission has been granted for Karaku's Carnival, while the appointed subcommittee still contemplates restrictions for Spice Mass 2022.
Look, we're not going to get everybody vaccinated in Grenada. We do need to get as many people as possible vaccinated. Otherwise, as I said, we will always remain vulnerable. The gatherings and making a difference between fully vaccinated and unvaccinated is not to spike people. It most definitely is not. It is to try and make sure that that risk is reduced as much as possible for the time being. But there comes a time where we will move forward with no restrictions on gatherings, and that it will not matter whether you are vaccinated or unvaccinated with respect to moving about or going to places. It will matter and continue to matter with respect to an individual's risk to COVID-19.
Meanwhile, justice was swift for a St. George's businessman who was arrested and charged for inflicting a wound on a senior police officer, which led to him being hospitalized. Let's go to Christelina John for this update.
The court is sending a message. This was the sentiment of lawyer Jerry Edwin following this morning's sentencing of the man charged with the wounding of a sergeant of police. 38-year-old Godwin John, a businessman of Grenville Street, St. George's, has been sentenced to 10 months in prison, 4 days after striking Sergeant Adrian Pantru over the head with a bottle. The wounding incident occurred on Friday at Grenville Street, St. George's, when Sergeant Pantru intervened in an altercation between two men and was struck with a bottle to his head, causing him to sustain an injury that warranted 5 stitches. A lawyer representing John, Jerry Edwin, said the court has had enough.
It's unfortunate that an ordinary assault has escalated into an offense that attracted a prison term. But it has been our practice lately in the courts, because I think the magistrate and I think the rest of civil society is just tired of seeing altercations and public fighting. I mean, I think we've just had too much of it. And the reaction of the court this morning was to send a message. I think that really is what happened. The court is sending a message that public fighting will not be tolerated. I think the court perceives there's a breakdown in the social order.
The maximum penalty for wounding, according to Edwin, is normally 2 years and a maximum fine of $4,000. He says while the court was making a statement, other factors were considered in John's sentencing.
We asked the court to be lenient, and we think the court was in the circumstances, because Mr. John did not know Sergeant Pantru was an officer of the law. I think that is clear. Granted, he was drinking, and alcohol does blow your vision, regardless of all the nice ads you see on television about the beauty of drinking alcohol. Alcohol is a precursor to violence. And Mr. John was inebriated, unfortunately. In a case like this, where the maximum is 2 years and $4,000, where a person receives 10 months in custody, that is justice. Justice was served in this case, and I must point out that Sergeant Pantru has declined compensation in this case because he was entitled to compensation.
Sergeant Pantru is said to be recovering at home in good spirits. Christelina John, GBN News.
And finally, in the local segment of news, Grenada will be the location for the historic signing of a roaming agreement between Flow and Digicel with the Caribbean Telecommunications Union on Wednesday. The signing of the St. George's Declaration on Roaming is expected to make services more accessible and affordable to customers of member states. Secretary General of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, Rodney Taylor, says having a single digital space will result in reduced prices for customers.
We benefit from economies of scale because we're treating the region as one space. and therefore they can acquire, equipment and buy services at a more reduced rate. And we fully expect that those cost savings will be passed on to the consumer. That will certainly drive the cost of access down and make it more affordable. The region's access at the moment compared to the rest of the world is still relatively high. But governments have also put in place mechanisms such as universal service funds, which offset the cost of providing services to places where it's not feasible to do so. And that fund could also be used in some cases to provide devices and pay for internet access for persons who can't afford it. So there are mechanisms in place that could help to drive the cost of technology down and make it more feasible to provide technology where it may be difficult to provide access.
He said COVID-19 has pushed countries to realize the importance of digital services.
For almost 2 years, our children could only access the education using online platforms. So it was critical for them to have internet access and to have access to devices. But also, even the financial services, banking, every sector has been impacted. Even the restaurants started to receive their orders online, payments online, and that kind of thing. So it is now very critical, certainly because of the global pandemic. But beyond that, the entire world is moving towards, digital modes of doing business. A lot of the big companies now globally, think of Facebook, now Meta, Google, they're all technology-based companies. And therefore, if we are to develop and advance in the region from a social and economic perspective, and even from a cultural perspective, we have to place great emphasis on technology and ensure that we're not left behind.
He said COVID-19 has pushed countries to realize the importance of digital services. CARICOM Ministers for Information and Communication Technologies in May 2017 approved the Integrated Work Plan for the community's single ICT space. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell is the lead head of science and technology for CARICOM. This is GBN Primetime edition of news. Coming up, Barbados' Prime Minister and top UK-based lawyer to address the new National Party's convention on Sunday. That story next.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3.
Thinking about your new home? Think easy. Think of Republic Bank Home Easy Loan. Think affordable. Think convenience. Think Republic.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3. Republic makes home easy.
Wow, that was such a breeze.
Own your home with ease.
So whether laying that first brick or purchasing an existing home, we've got you covered. Republic Bank will get you those keys hassle-free in no time.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3.
Drop by any one of our 8 locations today. Getting your new home is easy with Republic Bank.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Introducing the Grenlec mobile app. You can now get your bill balance and easily track energy usage for your home or business. Report and receive alerts about power outages. Plus, stay up to date by receiving the latest notifications. Yes, the Grenlec app keeps you connected anytime, anywhere.
The more you mind your business, the less you mind your car. The less attention you give to your car, the more you draw attention, but the wrong kind. Our business is to make sure that no one rides on your car and to see to it that when you pull up, you do so in style, clean and crisp. JP's Magical Car Wash, Morris Bishop Highway, 419-5855.
Get the kind of value you love that's unmatched at Courts Now. We're unmatched in quality and prices. Get appliances, electronics, furniture, and much more. You will love it. Get it now and pay nothing for 30 days with Ready Finance. Plus, shop now and get a chance to win a luxury staycation for 2. Now that's unmatched value. Only at Courts. Bringing value home. Special conditions apply. Offer ends February 28, 2022.
Running low on groceries? Why not visit realvalueiga.com and experience our new online shopping platform. Place your order, then go out and enjoy your day to spend more time with friends and family. available within select locations or in-store pickup available. Sounds simple, right? It is. Stress less, live more with Real Value IGA online store, where good food begins.
Ridgeway Residences, a modern, exclusive residential community offered by Ariza. Purchase one of our completely built houses or let us build for you by simply choosing your lot, choosing your home design from our selection, and let us do the rest. Owning a home does not have to be a frustrating process. For more information, contact Ariza Credit Union on 415-0994 or send us an email on info@ridgewayresidences.gd. Ridgeway Residences, hassle-free home ownership.
The Nawasa app brings the power of Nawasa's customer service experience to you. Instant, conversational, and smart. Easy access anywhere. Get bill balance, transaction history for up to 6 months, report a fault, link to websites, view payment centers, contact information, push notifications, and multi-tenant accounts, all in a secure login platform. Like a self-service concierge app, mobile.nawasa.gd gets you the support you need much faster. Available on both Android and iOS platforms. Mobile.nawasa.gd, your customer support companion. Nawasa, committed to meeting customers' needs.
GBN leads, the others follow. This segment is brought to you by Republic Bank.
My grandson feel he was a big man before he reached secondary school. Telling me about new gadgets to make life easy. But he busting up the food his granny cook with her 2 hands. And Kern's a good boy. I know. I raised him. I know he doesn't like seeing me work too hard. He worries. Before I had my first heart attack, he was excited to live near his university campus. So I felt guilty when he decided to live at home to take care of me. And getting to class and back, he would travel, he said. But I got him a little car anyway, much safer. He graduated, recently got married, and he's doing well for himself with all his tech. He still thinks he knows more than me. But to be honest, I don't know how I would have managed without him.
Your life is your story. Let's help you write it on your terms.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Welcome back to the news. Barbados' Prime Minister is slated to be one of 2 featured speakers at the new National Party's convention on Sunday. The other is former island scholar Akima Paul Lambert, a top lawyer in the United Kingdom. Chrislina John spoke with NNP's PRO Roland Bowler on Tuesday.
Having called general elections in her home country 18 months earlier than it was constitutionally due, could Barbados' Prime Minister Mia Mottley's presence in Grenada this weekend be an indication that the island can look forward to an early call to the polls? Or is it that the party is showing their level of preparedness or just gauging the political temperature? General Secretary of the ruling New National Party, Roland Bowler, was questioned.
Not really, in honesty, you are partially correct with what you say. Normally, when you're leading and you're getting closer to an election, if there's a convention, over the years, yes, you try to invite someone from the region or probably extra-regionally. But it has been a tradition in the NNP to invite dignitaries from outside to address the convention per se, whether there's an election or not. one can read into this one either way, but it's not unusual for us to bring in a foreign speaker.
Prime Minister Motley, he says, will not delve into party politics, but rather speak from a Caribbean standpoint, challenges pertaining to the pandemic, the role Grenada has played as a territory in managing such, and best practices that can be adopted. Meanwhile, speculations are rife that Akima Paul Lambert, a top lawyer in the UK, has been contacted by factions of the NNP to be a candidate for the upcoming general elections.
I can't say that she was. I know for a long time now there have been mutual interests. I can speak on that in that Ms. Lambert had been a member of the party for quite a while now. There had been some interest. This coming election, from where I sit, I don't know that that will be a possibility. Still, much things are possible. As we know it, it's 24 hours in politics is a very long time. A lot of things can happen within 24 hours. In fact, politics is a very...
Mrs. Paul would be the first featured speaker to address mainly the young people, he says, sharing her experiences, challenges, and successes. This year, the convention will be held semi-virtually, meaning that there would not be the usual mass gathering in one location. General Secretary Roland Bola explains the structure of this year's convention.
Headquarters, which would be the Trade Center, so the speakers will be speaking from there. There are about 3 constituencies that will bring in the delegates and some observers in that site. And then you have several other stations around the country. So
NNP's convention on Sunday will be held under the theme NNP, Tried, Trusted, and Delivering. Christina John, GBN News.
Protection and sustenance of the environment are key in promoting a healthier nation. The hotel industry plays a major role in this regard, since some of what they do impacts the environment negatively. GBN's Christina John spoke with Sandals Grenada Resort Health and Safety Manager on a recent award.
Sandals Grenada Resort and Spa has received gold status through EarthCheck, the world's leading business advisory group specializing in sustainability and destination management for the travel and tourism industry. According to Environment, Health and Safety Manager for the resort, Alifa St. Paul, this is their 5th year of being certified.
Every year, we basically gather our data in terms of energy management, waste management, water management, and we report in the EarthCheck tool. So EarthCheck basically assists us in seeing how well we do in saving on our water, in our waste management initiatives, and so forth.
According to the resort's HS manager, it is a partnership Sandals has with EarthCheck that aids in keeping the resort in check as it pertains to the sustainability of the environment. She says the resort is now looking into waste management on the island through a partnership with other organizations, vendors, and farmers to lessen the amount of waste going into the landfill. Sandals Grenada is extending an embrace to other hotels coming on board to join the initiative.
And with all of the negative impacts, we want to have a way that we sustain the environment at the same time. So whatever we do to offset, we have other initiatives to balance that off, as simple as tree planting. So if other resorts were to partner with EarthCheck, it helps us see how much of an impact we have on different aspects of our operation and how best practices can come forth in order to mitigate same.
The resort sustainability policy, she adds, is a collaboration between the resort and EarthCheck, which outlines what areas will be focused on throughout the year. Their annual audit is to ensure that what is documented is put into practice. Christina John, GBN News.
The long-awaited official opening of what is purported to be the best premium rum in the world is already bringing recognition and benefits to Grenada. Local employment and the creation of something intrinsic to Grenada were some of the highlights of the launch of Renegade Rum Distillery on Tuesday. Let's get more details in this report.
The third step
is to start getting creative by bringing some of these components together. And then the fourth step, which will be in the spring of 2024, is to make the definitive Renegade rum, which will be a compote, an assemblage of all these different components, wood types, distillation techniques, terroirs, and varietal influences.
Mark Rainier, Chief Executive Officer of Renegade Rum Distillery, says the question of whether they can make a rum that is profound as a single malt will be soon answered. The CEO says the premium rum will have the distinct honor of being made in Grenada and distilled and bottled by Grenadians. He notes that the flavors are extracted from the different areas in Grenada to produce 150 mini-rums, which will be later combined into the most profound rum the world has ever seen.
We now have 99% of our staff are Grenadian. It is run by people who've never seen boilers like this. They've never seen the equipment that we brought to this project, but they've picked it up and they've learned. And with our all-female, the world's first all-female distilling team, I'd add, this is for Grenadians, by Grenadians, and it's of Grenada.
Agriculture Minister Peter David, representing Prime Minister Dr. Kit Mitchell, says government welcomes the progress witnessed and the jobs created, citing the Renegade Rum Distillery as a unique project considered as an industry game changer.
In addition, the project provides full-time employment at various levels for another 35 Grenadians at the distillery itself. The head distiller and overall production manager is Grenadian. Renegade Rum Distillery is good news because the product is 100% Grenadian. The cane is grown in Grenada, and the rum is distilled in Grenada, matured and bottled also by Grenadians.
Minister David notes the rum distillery is good news for agrotourism, rural development, as well as the environment, whereby recycling is strictly observed. I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
And now let's turn our attention to what has been creating a buzz on social media. Akeisha John has been looking around the platforms.
We present the news. You analyze the various topics and distill the issues as they unfold. Your distillation points matter as we're about to highlight them in our Social Buzz report.
Tonight's Social Buzz focuses on GBN's nightly news, where the Rastafarian community asks the question, why? Why wait so long? Members of the Rastafarian community want government to speed up passing legislation on cannabis, citing the economic benefits to be derived from its cultivation and exportation. GBN brought this story, and you, our online audience, took to the comments section to air your views. Loaded Lux. Legalization makes an act completely acceptable in the eyes of the law, and therefore not subject to any penalties. Decriminalization simply means that an act is no longer regarded as a criminal act, but is still subject to penalties or fines, much like getting a speeding ticket. Chemo Frederick, legalize it, don't criticize it. Dudley C. Antoine asks, who owns the largest states to be able to produce the amount needed for export? Not the Rastas for sure. We ask the question, who will benefit the most? Osmond Griffith, marijuana is expensive now because it is illegal. Once it becomes legal, who is going to buy from who? Where will the big money come from when anyone can grow a plant in a pot and use? How do we compete with the producers in North America, where the big money markets are? Our bananas are supposed to be one of the best, but where is the market? I don't see big money flowing because it becomes legal. Ryan Chateau, more young people will be walking around with blown fuse in their head due to overabuse of this drug. That is it for tonight's Social Buzz. Continue to share your thoughts and concerns with us on our social media platforms.
And still to come, China scholarship awardees awaiting confirmation date to travel. More news is next.
On Sunday, February 27th, Mega Force Promotions presents the 36th edition
edition of Waggity Virtual Bingo. Purchase a ticket now for your chance to win US $10,000. Tickets cost only $10 US. Get yours today from numerous box offices island-wide in Grenada. If you're playing overseas, tickets are only available at gotofed.com. So if you need cash now, remember, Sunday, February 27th, join the fun and excitement online. Play Waggity Virtual Bingo and win.
At Southern Electrical, you get the best value, quality products, and expert advice. We are the #1 supplier of residential, commercial, and industrial electrical products in Grenada. View our latest arrivals of wall lights for interior and exterior, beautiful chandeliers, pendants, solar motion lights, kitchen appliances such as crispy air fryer ovens, crepe makers, countertop grills, and more. Visit Southern Electrical at Dusty Highway, Grandin, St. George. We also ship to Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Call or telephone number 444-3042, WhatsApp 405-4993, or browse our website www.segrenada.com.
Sunday, February 27th. It's the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
This is the last time that you will hear me for a while. This is the last time that you will hear me for a while.
Don't miss the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Tune into this station Sunday, February 27th, 3 p.m. Eastern Caribbean Time, 2 p.m. Jamaica Time.
What does it take to be an amazing woman? Lots of me time. Amazing women are classy, fancy, and a little sassy. It's the drink for me. Cheers! Sometimes you've got to show them who's boss. Alpha male? Nah, alpha females are more amazing. Cheers to securing the bag. We make time for ourselves, for work, friends, and we certainly make time for passion. We're simply amazing. Amazing cream liqueur for the amazing woman in you.
This is GBN. We've got the means, the power, and the medium. This segment is brought to you by Flow.
Welcome back. Education officials met with China scholarship awardees who are awaiting confirmation of their travel date to begin or continue their studies. The COVID-19 pandemic resulted in their delay to travel to the People's Republic of China, but the 20 students met with Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Norman Gilbert, last Friday. There are 2 cohorts of students awaiting departure to China for the period 2020 and 2021. The 2020 batch of 11 students has already started their classes online. The students were encouraged to get familiar with the Chinese language by taking classes at the T.A. Marshall Community College in preparation for their trip. And now let's take a peek through the GBN ISAW lens.
A good eye captures all. GBN ISAW is brought to you by ClearVision.
Life is beautiful if only you can see it. ClearVision Eye Center helps you do just that. We provide expert service, classy eyewear, and cutting-edge technology, all with a quality customer experience. See better, feel better, and look better. Meet us today at clearvisiongrenada.com or call 444-0055, WhatsApp 409-0055, or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. ClearVision Eye Center. Let's see life and the world with a clear vision.
Tonight's ISAR features the Girl Guide Association of Grenada as they celebrated the annual World Thinking Day. Celebrating under the theme, Our World, Our Equal Future, a ceremony was held at the Grenada Youth Center. The first guide company in Grenada was set up at the Church of England High School in 1925. Other guide companies were soon formed, and the first brownie packs were introduced in 1927, the first Ranger Company in 1928. In 1936, the government gave the association a piece of land as the site for its headquarters. In 1985, the association held its first international camp, and in 1989, the first Rainbow Unit was started in Birchgrove, St. Andrew. We thank our ISAR reporter for this submission. Send us your photo and video submissions via WhatsApp on 405-3052 or our other social media platforms.
Stay with us. The weather is next, followed by sports, regional and international news.
We support you at every stage of your life.
For business.
For your education.
For your financial freedom.
For that new ride.
Upgrade your life with the Communal. Contact us today.
Let's start the new year on a high, a detox high, because it's detox time again at Nirvana Detox Center, a natural health store. Check out our many detox packages starting from $100 or get 15% off on colonic irrigation therapy. Detoxing can help with liver and blood cleansing, weight loss, constipation, acid reflux, kidney stones, heavy metal removal, gas and bloating, and more. Call or WhatsApp us on 231-6642, 418-7115, or 449-7753. Ask about our delivery options. Visit us now. Bruce Street Mall, store number 1208, or Belmont St. George's, close to the Fall Edge area. Our opening hours are Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Nirvana Detox Center and Natural Health Store. Detox your way to health. These specials ends on March 31st or while stocks last.
Introducing Color by Sissons. 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 Color by Sissons.
Keeping an eye on the weather. This is GBN. We've got you covered.
This is the public weather forecast valid for the state of Grenada. Tonight's minimum temperature 24 degrees Celsius. It will be partly cloudy and breezy with light to moderate showers. Winds will be northeasterly to easterly at 12 to 22 miles per hour. Seas will be slight to moderate with waves 3 to 5 feet in open waters. Tides will be high at 8 p.m. On Wednesday, sunrise is at 6:27 a.m. and sunset 6:16 p.m. It will be partly cloudy, breezy and hazy with light to moderate showers. On Thursday, sunrise 6:26 a.m., sunset 6:17 p.m. It will be partly cloudy, breezy and hazy, becoming cloudy to overcast overnight with light to moderate scattered showers. Looking ahead to Friday, sunrise and sunset 6:26 and 6:17 respectively. The weather will be partly cloudy, breezy and hazy with light to moderate showers. And that's the weather report and forecast valid for tonight and the next 3 days. Stay tuned, your sports report is up next. evening, sporting fans. Top story in the sports tonight. Some claims by the recently elected president of the Grenada Athletic Association, Conrad Francis, is inspiring more questions and answers as it relates to sporting scholarships for Grenadian athletes. Francis was speaking on the need for local administrators to adapt to change in the sporting landscape in Grenada. Gerard Joseph has this report.
President of the Grenada Athletic Association, Conrad Francis, in putting forward an idea to create more opportunities for athletes to pursue their dreams while pursuing academic studies locally, has claimed that 90% of athletes on sporting scholarships abroad have failed.
If we do a proper survey, we would realize that almost 90% of our athletes, when they leave Grenada, they do not succeed. The other 10% may succeed track and field wise, right? Another 10% may succeed academically. But is that enough? Is that why we want them to go on scholarship?
The new GAA president is advocating for Grenada to follow in the footsteps of Jamaica in creating avenues for Grenadian athletes to remain at home to pursue their athletic careers.
What is happening now on the U.S. collegiate circuit is that the scholarships that are offered is diminishing. Every year is diminishing. In other words, there are roadblocks, a lot of roadblocks preventing our athletes from getting into colleges in the United States. And we have to be aware of that. Right? Athletes leave Grenada shores going on scholarships. And they are not fully funded. They do not have a full scholarship. So when they get out there, it's problems. It's problems.
The idea may be well intended, however, questions as to why support from the Grenada Olympic Committee as well as the Ministry of Sports has continued despite Francis's claims, which remain unsubstantiated. GBN received a copy of a document which shows that over $500,000 was remitted by the GOC to scholarship recipients and overseas-based athletes. Basketball pundits such as Fitzgerald Naka Joseph have recently questioned why support is not given to Grenadian basketballers and scholarships, which ironically have produced more professionals than their colleagues in track and field. Francis is, however, strongly proposing the use of TAMCC, SGU, and UE Open Campus for athletes to gain academic pursuits while training with the highly qualified Grenadian coaches.
The other part of it is that our coaches are some of the best in the world. They are some of the best in the world. And if it's better coaching they are going for, sometimes they are very disappointed. I remember there are times when athletes who travel, they still look to the local coaches to send them programs, to send them training programs.
I am Gerard Joseph for GBN Sports.
Meanwhile, the Grenada Athletics Association, having hosted an officiating course for interested individuals, are moving on to introduce a new program for athletes. Public Relations Officer for the GAA is Kwame Hippolyte.
Next Saturday, beginning next Saturday at the Alexis-Welsh playing field, we will have the rollout of our on-track program, talent identification program for athletes persons who are interested in taking part in athletics, persons who are interested in learning the skills and going in depth with the skills of javelin, high jump, and sprint stats. So that program is for athletes, persons between the ages of 8 to 16, begins Saturday at the Alexis-Welsh playing field, and we move varying Saturdays thereafter to the different parishes, where the coaches would be able to hone the skills of the athletes and persons interested in track and field in those events.
And now in basketball, Technical Director of the Grenada National Basketball Association, Kester Elcock, says the organization has a list of plans for 2022.
Right now, what we have going on now, we have the National Under-23 Championship going on, where a lot of the young players from the secondary school tournament are actually playing in this championship. Coming up next, we have a 3x3 tournament will be happening very soon on the 16, on the 20, on the 23, and seniors. one of the things that we also be working on is getting a 3x3 basketball court, and that again is some exciting news that we will be able to have a court where we can host regional 3x3 championships as well. So we are working, the Basketball Association, we're working with our partners, CBC and FIBA, to ensure that we keep the fire burning with basketball in Grenada.
And that's a look at sports. Regional and international news are up next. Tonight's One Caribbean Hookup begins with news that St. Lucia's Prime Minister Philip J. Pear has urged the police to step up their efforts against violent crime. HTS News Force has the details.
Prime Minister and Minister for National Security Philip Joseph Pierre was fairly frank in his assessment of St. Lucia's crime situation.
The situation is alarming. It's alarming. I'll tell you honestly, it's alarming. So I hope to get the cooperation of the police high command. I have said to the police that they must look at their legacy. It's not a matter of who got affected, no matter what are you leaving when you depart from the police force. Are you living in a situation where there is a highest murder rate? That may sound bad for the government, may sound bad for the Prime Minister. But the question is, I want to instill in the police, they must have pride in their work. I know it's a difficult task. My father was a policeman. Understand the task of policing. And it's a difficult task. I want to urge them to have some pride. Do it for themselves, for their country, for their children and their grandchildren. Have some pride. Let us fight this menace together.
The Prime Minister promised to lend tangible support as well as provide encouragement to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and repeated his pledge not to get involved in operational matters of either the police or the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions.
We cannot interfere in the runnings of the DPP's office. And I'm very firm about that. We will not interfere in the runnings of the DP office. My job as the Prime Minister and the Minister of Justice, as far as the DPP is concerned, all I have to do, all I must do is give the resources that are within the fiscal realities of the government. But I cannot interfere, I will not interfere, and I should not interfere.
And over in Guyana, Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony warns community and religious leaders in the hinterland regions to desist from peddling misinformation related to COVID-19 vaccines. Let's get more in this HGP-TV Nightly News Report.
As the Ministry of Health continues to witness a significant lag in vaccination administration in certain administrative regions, especially in the hinterland communities, namely regions 1, 7, 8, and 9, community and religious leaders are being advised to desist from advocating against COVID-19 vaccines, which are currently being rolled out by the Health Ministry. During Monday's COVID-19 update, Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony opined that vaccination hesitancy remains high in hinterland regions due to residents being misinformed by community and religious leaders who he deemed as anti-vaxxers.
There are also persons within these regions who are actively working against vaccines. These are anti-vaxxers. They don't believe in the benefits of vaccines, and they have been constantly undermining the message from the Ministry of Health.
He added that in these interland regions where persons in authority live and work and have no experience in healthcare or the medical field, low numbers of vaccination administration are mostly experienced.
Places like Region 8 and so forth, there are specific communities, and that is because some of the leaders in the community, it might be a mixture of the Tushao, or sometimes in other cases you might have religious leaders who are peddling this type of misinformation.
And further afield, several members of the United Nations Security Council have condemned Russia's move to escalate its crisis with Ukraine. The UNSC held an emergency meeting after Russian President Vladimir Putin recognized 2 breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine and deployed Russian troops to them for what he described as a peacekeeping operation in defiance of international law. We get the details in this Al Jazeera report.
Mr. President. As Security Council President, Russia proposed a closed-door emergency meeting on Monday night, but the U.S. insisted on a public session, having earlier stated there could be no fence-sitters in the Ukraine crisis. And speaker after speaker expressed varying degrees of disquiet or outright condemnation of Russia's recognition of the independence of Donetsk and Luhansk. The U.S. said the United Nations itself was at stake.
President Putin is testing our international system. He is testing our resolve and seeing just how far he can push us all. He wants to demonstrate that through force, he can make a farce of the UN.
The Ukrainian ambassador also argued this was not just about his country.
The United Nations is sick. That's a matter of fact. It's been hit by the virus spread by the Kremlin. Will it succumb to this virus? It is in the hands of the membership.
Thank you, Mr. President. Criticism of Russia was not limited to the West. African nations expressed particular concern at the breach of the territorial integrity of Ukraine.
Multilateralism lies on its deathbed tonight. It has been assaulted today as it has been by other powerful states in the recent past.
And that's it for regional and international news. We'll recap the headlines next. Looking back at what made news tonight, St. George's businessman sentenced to 10 months in prison 4 days after wounding a senior police officer. Spice Mass 2022 officially declared and will be held virtually and in person. Grenada to host historic signing of declaration on roaming for regional telecommunications. China scholarship awardees awaiting confirmation date to travel. In regional news, St. Lucia's Prime Minister Philip J. Pear calls on police to step up their efforts against violent crime. Internationally, members of the United Nations Security Council condemn Russia's moves to escalate its crisis with Ukraine. And in sports, Grenada Athletic Association president advocating for a local training ground against exporting all athletes. That's the end of GBN Nightly News for this special day of numbers. It is Tuesday, February 2nd, 2022. If you missed any part of this newscast, a repeat of it will be broadcast at 10 o'clock tonight. Continue to follow us online at www.gbn.gd or on GBN Television Facebook page and YouTube channel for these and other top stories. On behalf of the GBN News team, I am Blossom Alexis-Welsh. Enjoy the rest of your lucky night.
was ever a time to keep and stay healthy, it's now. We at Hills and Valley are here to help you take